Hey up, welcome to Matt's Mindful Meals. So today it's just going to be a short walk from my mum and dad's. I did have some bigger plans to go up to Maucott, but I got there and it was rammed with people. Then I went up to another place I got in mind where I used to go when I was a youngster. That was rammed as well. So third time lucky, hopefully I'm going to take you to a pond called Tiddlers where I caught my first fish when I was a youngster. And then when we get there, I'm going to cook some Chinese inspired crispy pork cubes. Well, we'll see how that goes anyway. Join me in a little while and I'll see you soon. Ta-da. Got a sign now, Tiddlers Pond, as you can see. I'm surprised it's got a pond. Wait till you see it, you will be too. So here it is, Tiddlers. Massive, innit? It must be probably, it's got to be less than 50 yards, 50 meters long in total. All this new path is new, but yeah, that's the exact place I caught my first ever fish, and it was a gudgeon. Probably, I don't know, 40 years ago. Anyway, it's time to get some cooking done. So welcome back. We're all set up. The pond's just behind us, probably about 30 meters away. So as you can see, I've got some belly pork chops. So it's basically pork belly, or, well, that's basically what it is. But then chopped into slices so it makes like chops, but there's no bones in them. And then this morning when I went to see what I was going to cook, a new Chinese supermarket's opened in my mum and dad's hometown. So I went in, and I'm quite partial to the roast pork when you go to a Chinese takeaway or a Chinese restaurant. So I asked the guy in there what a lot of people use for that, and he pointed me to this mix. So I'll give you a closer look at that. I don't know what that says at all, however, but that's what I'm going to be using today. But as you know me, and it's plenty of these videos I've done. I also picked up some chilli, because you never have enough chilli in your food. So the idea is to chop this up and then to cover it in all of the herbs and spices, let it sit for a while I get the fire going. So that's what I'm going to crack on with now. So here we go. As I've said in the past, this knife's quite sharp, making no hardship of this at all. So don't want them to go too small, because they will shrink when they're cooking, won't they? So probably 1.5 inch chunks. Some will be bigger than others. We're not measuring because it's a Saturday. Yeah, definitely still as sharp as a laser. So that is the end of all the chopping today. Pop them there for a minute. Now obviously when you're marinating stuff, the longer you marinate it for, the better the stuff tastes. But I'm only at my mum and dad's for a couple of days, and I arrived yesterday afternoon. Slept, caught up with my parents for a bit. So I went to get the bits and pieces for this morning. So first thing I'll do is use one of these bags to cover everything in. Now this is for 1.2 kilograms, so just over 2.5 pounds of pork. There's not 2.5 pounds there. I'd be lucky if there's a pound, to be honest. So I'm gonna, well, it smells quite good. Probably put half of this in. Bit more than half by accident, but I think that'll be enough. So, chilies. Rubbish bag. Go on, get it. Quarter of that? Yeah, I think so. Lovely jubbly. Pop that away. Give that a good mix up. You don't want one to be covered in all of the chilli seeds and then everything else to have none on. I think they're pheasants you can hear there. I'm not sure, I didn't see any on the way up. They definitely sound like pheasants, don't they? If I'm wrong, tell me. Oh, while we're talking about telling me stuff, I need to tell you, subscriptions. I hit 600 twice this week, but then it kept falling down to 590 something. Apparently, it's something to do with the algorithm. If you've subscribed, which is brilliant, you need to hit the little bell thing for the notifications, so that when I put something else out, you see that. And then what will happen, because if you don't do that, you don't see when I'm doing stuff, and then YouTube take you off the list. So if you haven't seen anything or you've missed something, it's probably so for that. So make sure you've got the subscribe and then hit the bell. I think it goes black when it's on properly, so you need to, so you see all of the notifications. Anyway, that's enough of that. So give this, tell you what, I'll seal the bag up so I don't get it all over myself. And because it's quite moist anyway, the outside of it was, I did bring some oil, but don't need the oil, so hopefully this will go that Chinese pork red. I think they call it char siu, don't they? Anyway, make sure there's no big areas where there's just dry powder. Done. So the next thing is that some people like to see how many strikes it takes me to get the fire going. So here goes. Using me flint and steel again with my little bit of hemp rope. Scott, or Oscar Outdoors, gave me this when he came up camping at my gaff towards the end of, well, it was the beginning of winter really, because it rained all the time. So I'll give it a bit of a rough up. Apparently it's all in the preparation for these things. So I think third attempt today, but we'll see. That was a fluke. Third attempt, so I won. So put that out. Put this away. So as you know, I've started me long COVID rehab. Only done the first week, but the first week was it's quite emotional really, because they get you there, the doctors, physios, ERIs, occupational therapists, they get you there and they basically get you to realise how actually ill you are, because for a long time you just persevere and persevere. Tell them that everything, well, tell people at work at least at first that everything's going to be okay, because you try to not believe how bad it is, and then yeah, they eventually get you to understand how ill you are, and that's part of the healing process, because you need to know how bad you are so that they can make you better, and you tell them every single thing that's gone wrong with you, and then they can then build a bigger picture and then find out what was wrong. So the main thing with me was my breathing mechanisms. Over the past 18 months, I've learned to breathe with just these muscles here. So the reason I was getting the brain fog and getting the words wrong is because they weren't providing enough oxygen. So throughout the day, when these parts get tired, they don't work as well. So you do more of the big breaths that sometimes you see me doing, which are called air hunger gasps. But that all then builds up, so you get your speech impediments, you get your words wrong, you get confused, which is the brain fog. And it's all due to a lack of oxygen really, which we sort of knew, but we didn't know what was causing it. Anyway, so what I've had to start doing is some breathing exercises and a lot of this mindfulness, which is really helping. But the breathing exercises, can you imagine if you have to sit there and say, breathe through your nose, but from your stomach muscles, which everybody else breathes from, and you sit there and you're telling your body to breathe and nothing happens? It was quite a scary moment. Anyway, I'm 60% of the time when I try to breathe with my abdominal muscles, it works. However, that's only when I'm sitting there concentrating on how to do it. If I just try and relax, like everybody else who breathes normally relaxes and it's just subconscious, it all goes back to just breathing from here and grinding my teeth. So there's 2 weeks to go. It's a long package, and they prepare you with stuff to take home. So yeah, things are looking up. So if anybody works at Stanford Hall and's watching this, thanks. I know I've cried a lot this week and I'm filling up a bit now, but yeah, you are going to get me there and give me my life back. So thanks. Anyway, enough of that. I'm going to put it on the time lapse while this is all doing, and I'll catch you soon. Right then, moment of truth. I don't think I'm going to cook all of this, because I just don't think I'd manage to eat it all. So I'll probably take a fair proportion of it to put in the freezer at my mum and dad's so that they can have it in the week. We'll see how it goes. Certainly changed colour, hasn't it? fire's quite hot. So see how that goes, shall we? I see someone behind. Hey up.
Okay. You usually see somebody camping up here.
I'm only doing a bit of cooking, I'm not staying over.
Not fishing either then?
I've fished in there for about 40 years. Gudgeon, roach, crucian carp, bits and bobs like that. I'm amazed it's still here.
Plenty of mirrors.
Is it?
Oh, common.
Alright. I'm just here making a cooking video for a YouTube channel I've got. I'm just visiting my parents, so.
I'm bothered. I mean, I just come across here. I just had a look. I might go home now and fetch some fish and stuff. And do a bit.
There's a car over there. I was just wondering whose that was. I didn't even know you could get cars up here.
Yeah, there's a gate down there. If you've got the key to it, you
Ah.
can unlock it and then drive up past the homes and then come down here.
I'm with
That
you.
belongs to them who own them horses.
All right, because I've not been here for. I live in Scotland now, you see, so I'm just killing a bit of time in the afternoon.
Distance, that's Scotland.
Yeah.
Somewhere I've never been. Scotland. Been everywhere else but Scotland.
Yeah. I moved up years ago when I was. Well, I'm in the Air Force now, so I'm down here on a course down towards Loughborough way. So I'm just staying at my parents for the weekend. So just thought I'd come around. I was amazed it's still there.
Oh, this place?
Yeah.
It'll never go. It's a mine shaft, isn't it?
Is it? Oh, I don't know.
That's what they recognise, the mine shaft in there. Full of water. So it'll never go anywhere. There used to be an inlet there and an outlet there, but the blocks them off. This has been here for, oh God, yeah, well I'm 57 now, and I used to fish this when I was a kid.
That's right. I think 8 or 9 I started coming up here from off of the back of Bentley.
That's where I'm from, Bentley. Oh, there's plenty of fish, yeah.
But they've moved on to Eaton Park now. But yeah, tench used to get in here as well.
There's still a few tension. There's a lot of golfers. A nice sunny day, you can stand on the green
And just watch them. See you. So that was the bailiff for the pond. Apparently they stock it now. It used to just be a little scaggy old pond when I was there. Asked me if I was fishing later. Luckily I'm not, because I haven't got any licences or anything. These seem to be coming on nice now. Cook quite quickly. But I think there's a little bit too much resin in this wood, to be honest, because it's quite a high temperature. But yeah, pork, you've got to be careful. Make sure it's cooked properly. This is looking really good. What I'll do, I'll come and take the camera off now and do some closer up pictures. Well, things didn't go quite to plan. First I got the bailiff, and I got some hungry young scallies off the estate. Anyway, they've had most of it, and it's quite nice, and yeah, the language is a bit fruity, so that had to be cut out. Anyway, show you what's left. Probably the most stress-inducing time I've had out. I can't believe it. First a bailiff, then a bunch of estate kids. However, I'm going to try this now for myself. Yeah, very interesting. Well, here goes. This piece. Wow. Very good. Some's cooked more than others, because as I said, the wood got a lot of resin, so it's very, very hot. So it burnt through really quickly. I'm going to try one of the burnt bits now. Ooh. I don't think that one's quite done. Let's give that to the foxes. But the rest are done. I'll be doing that again. Definitely. So, talk about next week. Specific physio for my breathing, which will get more intense over the next 2 weeks. Well, the next time you see me, I'll have done another week, so hopefully I'll be a bit further on, and I'll be coming to you from Bradford, because I'm going with the English woodsman Dan. Sway up, mate. And Scott, Oscar Outdoors. See you next week. And yeah, so I'll pack up in a minute and I'll see you next week. Take care of yourselves, keep safe. Well, that's me all packed up just in time, I think. As you can see, a big storm coming, so if I don't go now I'll get absolutely soaked. But that estate over here, this is called Bentley, and it was the biggest purpose-built council estate in Europe at the time when I was growing up there. And there's the pheasant again. Didn't have many of them when I lived here. Anyway, take care of yourselves. I'm going to get even fitter. So subscribe if you haven't already. Give it a thumbs up. Don't forget that bell. Anyway, take care. And I'll see you from Bradford next week. Ta!